The morning was bright and clear in Washington, D.C. when the alien ship descended from the sky. It happened without warning. A massive vessel that broke through the clouds and hovered above the National Mall. Fighter jets scrambled but were called off when the ship broadcast a message in perfect English. "We come seeking diplomatic relations with Earth." Ambassador John Miller straightened his tie as he waited on the landing pad. At 58, with gray hair and steady hands, he had handled difficult negotiations across the globe, but never with visitors from another world. Next to him stood President Clark and a small delegation of world leaders, all looking up at the silver disk that now extended landing gear. "Remember," Miller told the others, "we show them we come in peace." The ship settled down with a soft hiss. A ramp extended, and 6 aliens emerged. They walked on 2 legs but had 4 arms each. Their skin was a pale blue, and they wore elaborate metal suits that gleamed in the sunlight. Most striking were the various weapons strapped to their bodies, devices that looked like guns, knives, and things Miller couldn't even identify. The lead alien stepped forward. "I am High Counselor Zix Tar of the Vexillian Empire and representative of the Galactic Council." The translator device at his throat conveyed his clicks and whistles into English. "We have observed your world for some time and deemed you ready for first contact." Miller stepped forward with open hands. "I am Ambassador John Miller of the United States, representing Earth. We welcome you in peace." The aliens suddenly stiffened. All 6 of them took a step back. Their upper arms moved to their weapons. "Where are your arms?" Zix Tar asked, his translator making the words sound alarmed. Miller looked confused. "My arms?" He raised his hands. "These are my arms." "No," said the alien, backing away further. "Your weapons. Where are your ceremonial weapons?" President Clark stepped forward. "We don't bring weapons to peaceful meetings. We came unarmed to show our peaceful intentions." This caused an immediate commotion among the aliens. They chittered to each other in their language, too fast for the translators to keep up. Miller noticed their posture had changed. They seemed tense, afraid even. "You approach us with no visible means of defense." Zix Tar's voice was higher now. "What manner of deception is this?" "It's not deception," Miller said calmly. "On Earth, coming unarmed to a meeting is a sign of trust and peaceful intentions." This only seemed to make things worse. 2 of the aliens pulled out scanning devices and pointed them at the humans. "Impossible," one of them said. "All sentient species carry protection. Unless—" The alien turned to Zix Tar and spoke rapidly in their language. Zix Tar's 4 eyes widened. He stepped back and raised all 4 hands in what seemed like a defensive gesture. "We must confer," he announced. "This development is unexpected. Return to your positions. We will contact you again when we have assessed the situation." Before Miller could respond, the aliens backed up the ramp. One of them kept a weapon pointed at the human delegation until the ship's door closed behind them. The gathered humans stood in confused silence as the ship's engines powered up. Within minutes, it had risen high above the city and disappeared into the clouds. "What just happened?" President Clark asked. Miller shook his head. "I don't know, but something about us being unarmed scared them." In the days that followed, governments around the world tried to make sense of the failed first contact. News channels ran endless speculation. Military forces remained on high alert. Scientists analyzed every second of footage from the brief meeting. 1 week later, a small probe entered Earth's atmosphere and delivered a message directly to the United Nations. It contained only a few sentences. "The Galactic Council acknowledges humanity's unique status. We request further diplomatic contact under controlled conditions. 2 Earth representatives may board our diplomatic vessel when it returns in 6 months. We must understand your species before proceeding with formal relations." Miller read the message in his office and sighed. Somehow, humanity had made a terrible first impression by trying to be peaceful. Now he had 6 months to figure out why aliens found unarmed humans so terrifying. 6 months passed quickly. Ambassador John Miller spent that time learning everything he could about first contact scenarios. He practiced speaking in front of mirrors, read books on body language, and even took classes in basic self-defense. No one knew what to expect, but they wouldn't be caught unprepared again. When the day came, Miller stood on the same landing pad with his new assistant, Lisa Garrett. At 32, Lisa was brilliant and calm under pressure, exactly what this mission needed. The government had considered sending soldiers, but Miller insisted that would send the wrong message. "Are you nervous?" Lisa asked as they watched the sky. "Terrified," Miller admitted, "but also curious. Why were they so afraid of us being unarmed?" The alien ship appeared without warning, just like before. This time it was smaller, sleeker. When it landed, only 2 aliens emerged: High Counselor Zix Tar and another Vexillian, in what looked like scientific gear. "Ambassador Miller," Zix Tar said, "we appreciate your compliance with our request." Miller nodded. "This is my assistant, Lisa Garrett." The aliens looked at their empty hands and seemed to flinch slightly, but maintained their composure. "Please board our vessel. We have much to discuss." Inside the ship, Miller and Lisa were led to a meeting room with a large table. The walls were covered in symbols and screens. 3 more aliens of different species waited inside, all carrying various weapons. "These are representatives from the Scientific Assessment Committee," Zix Tar explained. "They will help explain our concerns." One alien stepped forward. It looked like a large insect with 6 limbs and compound eyes. "I am Dr. Krill of the Taxon Collective," it said through a translator. "What we need to understand is why your species approaches diplomatic situations unarmed." Miller looked confused. "On Earth, bringing weapons to a meeting is seen as threatening. We come unarmed to show peaceful intentions." The aliens exchanged glances. "Fascinating," Dr. Krill said. "In galactic society, appearing armed is a sign of honesty. It shows you acknowledge your capacity for violence and keep it in check. All sentient species we've encountered evolved from one of 2 paths," another alien explained. "This one had green scales and a long neck. Either they were prey animals who developed technology to defend themselves, or they were predators who maintained their natural weapons." Lisa leaned forward. "And which are the Vexillians?" "We were prey," Zix Tar said. "Our 4 arms evolved to climb trees and escape predators. We developed ranged weapons very early in our history." "And humans?" Miller asked. The room grew quiet. Dr. Krill tapped something into a device. "Humans are an anomaly. You evolved as predators, with forward-facing eyes and endurance hunting capabilities. Yet you abandoned your natural aggression. You have no claws, no venom, no significant natural defenses. By galactic standards, you are naked." Miller finally understood. "You think we're hiding something." Zix Tar's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "When you appeared before us unarmed, there were only 2 possibilities. Either humans are suicidally naive, or we're so dangerous we don't need visible weapons." Lisa finished. The green-scaled alien nodded. "No species willingly disarms unless they possess something far more threatening. Our scans of your biology show you have remarkable endurance and healing abilities compared to many species, but nothing that explains your confidence." Miller laughed, which made the aliens tense up. "I'm sorry," he said, "but we really do believe in peace. Humans fought each other for centuries before realizing cooperation works better than conflict." The aliens didn't seem convinced. Zix Tar placed a datapad on the table. "We have studied your history. You nearly destroyed yourselves multiple times. Yet here you are, approaching advanced species without protection. The Council finds this deeply suspicious. What happens now?" Lisa asked. "Now," said Zix Tar, "we extend a provisional invitation to Earth to join the Galactic Council. There will be conditions, of course. Most notably, humans must remain unarmed in council chambers, while other species may carry ceremonial weapons. Miller frowned. That seems unfair. Dr. Krill's mandibles clicked. On the contrary, Ambassador, it's because the Council fears what weapons humans might be concealing. They believe limiting you to your natural abilities is the safest compromise. Miller looked at Lisa, who shrugged slightly. They had come seeking friendship and found fear instead. But it was a start. We accept your invitation, Miller said, unaware of how this simple agreement would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. 1 year after first contact, Earth was buzzing with excitement. The invitation to join the Galactic Council had been accepted by the United Nations after months of debate. Now it was time to send the first official human delegation into deep space. Ambassador Miller stood in the launch facility, watching his team prepare. The Council had allowed Earth to send 5 representatives. Miller had chosen carefully. Lisa Garrett remained as his assistant. Dr. Alan Wright joined as science advisor. Catherine Lopes came as security chief, and Sam Peterson rounded out the team as communications specialist. Final checks complete, Catherine reported. She was a former Navy SEAL with short black hair and sharp eyes. Still think it's weird they want us unarmed while they get to carry weapons. It's their way of feeling safe, Miller explained. Remember, we're the scary ones to them. Dr. Wright looked up from his tablet. I've been studying the Council species database they sent. Over 3,000 documented sentient species, and humans are the only ones classified as predators without natural weapons in their system. The team boarded the alien shuttle that would take them to the massive Council ship waiting in orbit. It was a sleek vessel with technology beyond anything humans had developed. As they settled into their seats, Sam noticed something. No weapons lockers, he said. Most ships have places to secure weapons during travel. They probably assumed we wouldn't need them, Lisa replied. The journey to Council space would take 3 weeks in the massive ship. During that time, the human delegation had their first real experiences with alien cultures. The ship carried representatives from 12 different species, all heading to Nexus Station, the heart of galactic politics. Miller noticed how the other species gave humans space in the common areas. When he entered the dining hall, conversations would quiet. When Catherine walked the exercise track, others would finish their routines early. On the 10th day, Lisa approached Miller in his cabin. I've been talking with a Drell merchant, she said. They have 6 eyes and those furry arms. Nice enough once you get past the appearance. And? Miller asked. Apparently, we have a reputation. The Drell said humans are considered dangerous because we smile when we're happy. Miller frowned. What's wrong with smiling? Most predator species bare their teeth as a threat display. The fact that we do it as a friendly gesture freaks them out. It's like we're constantly threatening everyone while pretending to be nice. The information worried Miller, but there was little he could do now. They continued their journey, collecting more cultural insights along the way. Dr. Wright discovered that human endurance was considered abnormal. Most species couldn't run for more than a few minutes without rest. Sam learned that human music sounded like warning calls to some species. Catherine found that her direct eye contact was seen as aggressive. On the final day before reaching Nexus Station, High Counselor Zixtar invited Miller to his private chambers. The Vixillians seemed more relaxed than during their previous meetings. Ambassador Miller, tomorrow you will see the heart of our civilization. Nexus Station holds the council chambers where representatives from thousands of worlds gather to govern our shared galaxy. We're honored to be included, Miller said. Zixtar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. There is something you should understand. Your species is unique, which makes many nervous. The Council's decision to allow humans to attend while unarmed was not unanimous. Who opposed it? Miller asked. The Kronax hegemony, primarily. They are apex predators who believe all lesser species should submit to their authority. They find humans unsettling. Because we don't carry weapons. Because you don't need to, Zixtar said quietly. There is a belief among some that a species who evolved as predators yet chooses peace must be capable of terrible violence. The Kronax fear what they do not understand. As the ship approached Nexus station, Miller gathered his team. Through the viewing window, they could see the massive structure, a spinning wheel of metal and light, larger than any city on Earth. Remember, Miller told them, we're not just representing humanity now. We're trying to change how an entire galaxy sees us. The ship docked with a gentle bump. Humanity was about to take its place among the stars. Nexus station was overwhelming. The human delegation followed their Vexillian guide through crowded corridors filled with beings of all shapes and sizes. Some floated on anti-gravity platforms. Others crawled along the walls. All of them carried weapons, from simple knives to complex devices that hummed with energy. The council chamber is at the center of the station, explained their guide, a junior Vexillian diplomat named Krex. Over 5,000 species have representatives there. Catherine Lopes stayed close to Ambassador Miller, her eyes constantly scanning the crowds. Though she carried no weapon, her training made her alert to every movement. She noticed how aliens watched them pass, how conversations stopped, how some even backed away. "They really are afraid of us," San whispered. They reached a massive doorway carved with symbols from hundreds of languages. Two towering guards stood at attention, their bodies covered in natural armor plates. They carried energy spears that crackled with blue light. "The human delegation from Earth," Krex announced. The guards examined them carefully, focusing on their empty hands and lack of visible weapons. One guard grunted something to the other. "They wish to scan you for hidden weaponry," Krex translated. "That's fine," Miller said calmly. "We have nothing to hide." The scan took only seconds. When it showed no weapons, the guards seemed more worried, not less. They stepped aside reluctantly and opened the doors. The council chamber was enormous, a circular room with rising tiers of seats stretching up hundreds of feet. Thousands of aliens filled the seats, a rainbow of colors and shapes. At the center was a raised platform where speakers could address the assembly. As the humans entered, a hush fell over the chamber. All eyes, sensory organs, and detection devices turned toward them. Miller led his team to their assigned seats, simple chairs in the lowest tier near the speaking platform. "The Earth delegation has arrived," announced a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Ambassador Miller will now address the council." Miller walked to the platform. He had practiced this speech for weeks, but facing thousands of armed aliens made his mouth dry. He took a deep breath and began. "Honorable representatives of the Galactic Council, I bring greetings from Earth. We come in peace, seeking friendship and cooperation with all species." A murmur ran through the crowd at the word peace. Miller continued, explaining Earth's hope for sharing knowledge and resources. When he finished, the chamber remained silent for several seconds before a polite, restrained applause began. As Miller returned to his seat, an enormous reptilian alien rose from the upper tiers. Its scales were jet black, and multiple weapons hung from its battle harness. "I am War Leader Vorg of the Kronax hegemony," it growled. "I question the wisdom of admitting humans to this council. They come with sweet words of peace while hiding their true nature." "We hide nothing," Miller replied, though he hadn't been invited to speak again. "Lies," Vorg hissed. "All sentient species understand the need for defense. Only those with secret advantages appear unarmed." The Kronax turned to address the wider council. "Earth is classified as a death world. Extreme temperatures, powerful predators, deadly microorganisms. Any species that evolve there must possess extraordinary killing ability." Several council members nodded in agreement. Others looked uncomfortable. Dr. Wright leaned toward Miller. "Death world? That's ridiculous. Earth is quite habitable." "By your standards," whispered a small, furry alien seated nearby. "To most species, your world is a nightmare of dangers. Few council members could survive there without extensive protection." Over the next hours, different council representatives spoke about Earth's membership. Some welcomed humans cautiously. Others supported the Kronax view that humans were dangerous. A few seemed genuinely curious about Earth culture. During a break in the proceedings, Lisa approached Miller with concern in her eyes. "I've been listening to the translators. Different factions are already trying to align with us." "For what purpose?" Miller asked. "Military advantage. They think Earth must have powerful weapons or fighting abilities. The Trescan Alliance wants our help against the Kronax. The Medillan Confederation wants defense technology they believe we're hiding." Miller sighed. "We're not hiding anything." "That's exactly the problem," Catherine said, joining them. "No one believes that, and I'm starting to think our honesty might become dangerous." As the council reconvened, Miller watched the armed representatives with new understanding. To them, humanity wasn't just strange. We were terrifying. And nothing they had seen so far had convinced them otherwise. 3 months passed quickly on Nexus Station. The human delegation settled into a routine, attending council sessions, meeting with alien representatives, and sending regular reports back to Earth. Ambassador Miller found himself busier than ever as more species sought private meetings with humans. "It's exhausting," he told Lisa one evening as they reviewed the next day's schedule. "Everyone wants to know our secrets, and no one believes we don't have any." "At least they're talking to us now," Lisa replied. "Remember how they used to avoid us in the hallways?" Catherine Lopes entered their common room, her face serious. "Security alert from station control. The Kronax delegation is making threats again." Miller sighed. The Kronax had been the most vocal opponents of human membership in the council. Their leader, War Leader Vorg, missed no opportunity to suggest humans were hiding dangerous abilities. "What is it this time?" Miller asked. "They're demanding access to a small border world called Teryx. The local species refused, and now the Kronax are threatening invasion." Dr. Wright looked up from his datapad. "Teryx. That's the one with the insect-like people, right? Peaceful farmers with minimal defenses." "Exactly," Catherine said. "Easy prey for the Kronax." The next morning, the council chamber was tense when the human team arrived. Representatives argued loudly, many standing at their seats. At the center platform, a small delegation of Teryxians pleaded their case. They had 4 thin arms and delicate wings that fluttered when they spoke. "We have no quarrel with the Kronax hegemony," their speaker said. "Our world has no strategic value. We ask only to be left in peace." War Leader Vorg pushed his way to the platform, towering over the Teryxian speaker. "Your world borders Kronax space. That alone gives us the right to claim it for security purposes." The council moderator, a tall blue alien with a ceremonial staff, tried to maintain order. "The Teryxians are council members in good standing. The charter protects their sovereignty." Vorg laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the chamber. "The charter protects those strong enough to enforce it." He turned to face the wider council. "Who here will defend Teryx against Kronax might?" A heavy silence fell over the chamber. No species wanted to challenge the powerful Kronax military. Miller watched as the Teryxian delegation's wings drooped in despair. "This is wrong," Lisa whispered. Miller nodded and stood up. "Earth will speak for Teryx." All eyes turned to the human delegation. Vorg's yellow eyes narrowed. "Humans? You have no fleet, no armies here. What protection can you offer?" Miller walked calmly to the platform. "The same protection that all council members deserve under the charter. Peace through cooperation, not threat of violence." Vorg slammed his fist against his chest armor. "Empty words. This is why armed species rule the galaxy. Power is the only language that matters." "Is it?" Miller asked. "Then why do you need the council's approval? Why not simply take what you want?" The Kronax leader hissed. His hand moved to one of his weapons. "Perhaps I should demonstrate Kronax resolve." The emergency session of the council began 6 hours after the incident. Security forces had restored order, the injured were treated, and the Kronax delegates were confined to their quarters. The human delegation sat alone in a waiting area, unsure of what would happen next. "How's your arm?" Miller asked Catherine. She flexed her bandaged forearm. "Their medical technology is impressive. Almost no pain now." Dr. Wright paced nervously. "This could be very bad. We've confirmed their worst fears about us." A Vexillian guard appeared at the door. "The council requests your presence." They followed the guard to the chamber, which was now half empty. Many representatives had evidently chosen to attend virtually rather than be in the same room as humans. The remaining aliens sat far from the human section, leaving a conspicuous empty area around them. The moderator, looking shaken but determined, addressed the chamber. "This emergency session will examine the events of today and their implications for Council security protocols." A panel of scientists from various species took the platform. Their leader was a tall, thin alien with pale skin that seemed almost translucent. "I am Chief Researcher Nix of the Biological Studies Division." They began. "We have been studying human physiology since their arrival. Today's events have confirmed our findings." Large screens appeared around the chamber, showing detailed images of human anatomy alongside alien comparisons. "Humans possess several unusual attributes," Nix continued. "Their muscle density is remarkable for their size. Their bones, while seemingly fragile, have excellent tensile strength. Most notably, their nervous system allows for extraordinary reaction times and coordination." Dr. Wright leaned toward Miller. "They're making us sound like superhumans. This is basic human biology. By Council standards, perhaps we are exceptional," Miller whispered back. Nix displayed footage of Catherine's fight with the Kronax. "Note the speed and precision of movement. The human female weighs approximately 1/3 as much as a Kronax warrior, yet was able to use leverage and momentum to neutralize the threat." The Tyrixian delegation approached the platform. Their wings fluttered gently as their leader spoke. "The humans protected our child when no one else would. They stood against aggression without weapons. Is this not what the Council should represent?" A new silence fell over the chamber, more thoughtful than fearful. The moderator consulted with several senior counselors before addressing the assembly again. "The Council has reached a provisional decision. The human delegation acted within their rights to defend themselves and others. However, today's events have demonstrated why the initial restriction on human weaponry was wise." The moderator turned to Miller. "A new protocol will be established. Humans may attend Council functions without weapons, as their natural abilities are considered sufficient deterrent. All other species may continue to carry ceremonial arms as tradition dictates." As they left the chamber, Lisa whispered to Miller, "So we're still the only ones who have to be unarmed?" Miller nodded slowly. "Yes, but for a different reason now. Before they feared what we might be hiding. Now they fear what they've seen." Back in their quarters, the human team sat in silence, each considering what this meant for Earth's future in galactic politics. They had wanted to be seen as equals. Instead, they had become something else entirely. War leader Vorg, now wearing restraints, was brought to a witness platform. His scales were dull, and a medical device was attached to his neck. The human used no technology, he growled. No hidden weapons, just bare hands and training. He seemed both angry and confused. "No prey species moves like that." "Humans are not prey," Nix corrected. "Our research suggests they evolved as pursuit predators. They lack natural weapons because they developed tools used very early in their evolution." The moderator turned to Miller. "Ambassador, would you explain human combat capabilities to the Council?" Miller stood and approached the platform. What Catherine did was not extraordinary by human standards. Many of our people learned self-defense techniques. We developed these skills over thousands of years, not to conquer but to protect. "Yet you claim to be peaceful," said a counselor from the upper tiers. "We are peaceful," Miller insisted. "We learned through our history that violence rarely solves problems. But being peaceful doesn't mean being helpless." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Nix displayed more data on the screens. Humans also show remarkable endurance. They can continue physical activity long after most species would collapse from exhaustion, and their pain tolerance is unusually high. The security officer continued fighting despite a laceration that would incapacitate many species. Catherine shifted uncomfortably as the alien studied her. She had never considered these normal human traits to be special. 6 months after the incident with the Kronax, humanity's position in the galactic community had changed dramatically. The news of Catherine's fight spread quickly, and stories about human abilities grew with each telling. Some claimed humans could bend metal with their bare hands. Others whispered that humans could survive in vacuum without protection. None of these rumors were true, but they served to build a legend around Earth's representatives. Ambassador Miller sat in his office on Nexus Station, reviewing reports from home. Earth governments had been busy preparing for increased alien contact, building special facilities and training diplomatic staff. The first alien embassy had opened in Geneva, with more planned for other cities. Lisa Garrett entered with a datapad, another request for human protection, she said, placing it on Miller's desk. The Palaxian Federation wants Earth to commit to defending their trade routes. Miller sighed. That's the third this week. Tell them the same as the others. Earth has no military presence in this sector of space. They know that, Lisa said. They want to publicly align with us anyway. Just the rumor of human protection is enough to deter pirates. This had become a regular pattern. Species across the galaxy sought human protection, despite Earth having no starships or weapons capable of interstellar defense. The reputation alone was valuable. Dr. Wright and Catherine entered the office, returning from a council science briefing. How did it go? Miller asked. More questions about human biology, Wright said. They're particularly interested in our endurance running. I tried explaining that humans aren't special by Earth standards, but that only made them more nervous. Catherine took a seat by the window. I overheard some Drell representatives talking. They believe Earth must be hiding continent-sized weapon factories underground. When I told them we weren't, they just winked all 6 eyes like we share a secret. Our honesty has become our biggest problem, Miller said. No one believes we're telling the truth. Lisa had been quiet, thinking. Now she looked up with determination in her eyes. What if we tell them everything? The complete truth about human capabilities, strengths and weaknesses alike. We've tried that, Wright reminded her. No, I mean really show them. Detailed medical information, performance data, video evidence of our limitations. Show them that we're not the super beings they think we are. Miller considered this, a full disclosure approach. Transparency, Lisa said. It aligns with our values, and it might finally convince them we're not hiding anything. Catherine frowned. Or it could backfire. Right now, our reputation gives Earth protection we don't actually have. If the galaxy learns how vulnerable we really are, is living under false pretenses better? Lisa asked. We came here to build honest relationships. The debate continued late into the night. By morning, the team was divided. Miller, Lisa, and Dr. Wright favored transparency, while Catherine and Sam worried about security implications. Earth needs to decide, Miller finally said. I'll send our recommendations back home and let the UN Security Council make the final call. As they prepared the report, an urgent message arrived from the council chambers. The Kronax hegemony had launched a surprise attack on 3 border worlds, including Terix. Their fleet had bypassed defense systems and was threatening planetary bombardment. They're demanding the council acknowledge Kronax superiority and grant them control of 12 disputed systems, Sam reported, reading from the alert. And the council's response? Miller asked. They've called an emergency session. All members are required to attend. The human team hurried to the chamber, which was in chaos when they arrived. Representatives shouted over each other, while the moderator struggled to maintain order. On the main screens, footage showed Kronax warships in orbit around peaceful worlds. The Terixian delegation spotted the humans and rushed over, wings fluttering in distress. Ambassador Miller, please help us. The Kronax demand our surrender in 1 hour, or they will destroy our largest cities. Miller looked at the desperate faces around him. Earth had no ships that could reach Tyrix in time. No weapons that could challenge the Kronax fleet. All they had was their reputation. What exactly are you asking us to do? Miller asked carefully. The Tyrixian leader's voice trembled. Speak for us. The Kronax fear humans. If Earth threatens to protect us. Catherine caught Miller's eye, her expression grave. They were being asked to bluff on a galactic scale, with billions of lives at stake. If the deception failed, both Earth and Tyrix would suffer. Before Miller could respond, a Kronax message appeared on the chamber screens. War Leader Vorg, now wearing the ornate armor of a high commander, bared his teeth at the assembled council. Your time of weakness ends today, he growled. The Kronax will no longer be bound by the restrictions of lesser species. The council chamber fell silent as War Leader Vorg finished his threats. His massive warships hovered over peaceful worlds, weapons ready. Ambassador Miller stood at the center of the chamber, feeling the weight of countless eyes upon him. The moment demanded a decision. Continue the deception about human power, or reveal the truth about Earth's limitations. Miller took a deep breath and stepped onto the speaking platform. High Commander Vorg, he said, his voice steady. The people of Earth demand you withdraw your forces immediately. A ripple of whispers spread through the chamber. The Kronax leader laughed, his scaled face twisting into a sneer. Or what, human? Your planet has no fleet, no weapons that can reach us. Your reputation cannot stop plasma cannons. Miller nodded slowly. You're right. Earth has no ships that can challenge yours. The chamber fell completely silent. Even the Tyrixians seemed to stop breathing. I wish to address the full council, Miller continued. It's time for the truth about humans. The main screens activated, showing images of Earth. Miller gestured to Dr. Wright, who sent prepared data to the council systems. For months, you've all believed humans possess special powers or secret weapons. The reality is much simpler. We are just one species among many, with our own strengths and weaknesses. Miller showed footage of humans struggling to lift weights that many alien species could handle easily, humans succumbing to diseases, humans dying in accidents. We are not invulnerable. Our bones break. Our skin tears. We die from falls, from drowning, from countless ordinary dangers. Catherine's fight with the Kronax wasn't superhuman. She simply used training and leverage against a stronger opponent. Vorg's eyes narrowed with suspicion. What game is this, human? No game. Just truth, Miller replied. Earth has no hidden fleet, no super weapons, no special powers. What we do have is something more important. Miller showed new images, humans working together to build cities, to rescue others from disasters, to heal the sick. Throughout our history, we learned that our greatest strength comes from cooperation. When we work together, we can overcome challenges that would defeat any individual. Miller turned to face the council directly. That's why I'm not asking Earth to defend Tyrix alone. I'm asking all of us, the entire council, to stand together against this aggression. He looked at each delegation in turn. The Vixilians, whose technology can disrupt Kronax targeting systems. The Medellans, whose shield generators can protect civilian centers. The Drell, whose fast ships can evacuate those in danger. As Miller spoke, representatives began to nod, to confer with each other. The chamber that had been silent now buzzed with conversation. The Kronax believe we are weak because we seek peace, Miller continued. They are wrong. Peace requires more strength than war. It demands we overcome our fears and work for something larger than ourselves. Miller faced Vorg's image on the screen. You call us unarmed, as if that makes us helpless. But look around you. You don't face Earth alone. You face a united council. On the screens, new information appeared. Ships from a dozen species moving to defensive positions, planetary shields activating, emergency response teams mobilizing. The moderator stepped forward. The council has voted. By overwhelming majority, we stand with Terex and all threatened worlds. High Commander Vorg, withdraw your forces or face the combined response of the council. Vorg's expression shifted from confidence to uncertainty. He had expected to face a divided council, not a unified front. After a tense silence, he growled an order to someone off-screen. Moments later, the Kronax ships began to pull back. As celebrations erupted around the chamber, Lisa approached Miller. You took a huge risk telling them the truth about us. Miller smiled. Sometimes the truth is more powerful than any weapon. In the days that followed, something remarkable happened. When the next council session began, several representatives arrived without their ceremonial weapons. The following day, more joined them. Within a week, entire delegations chose to appear unarmed. The moderator formally recognized this change by amending council protocols. While all species retain the right to carry ceremonial weapons in council chambers as tradition dictates, they are encouraged to consider the human example of strength through openness rather than displays of force. As Miller watched the growing numbers of unarmed representatives, he realized humanity had brought something unexpected to the stars. Not fear, not power, but a new way of thinking about strength. Earth's legacy would not be the weapons they didn't carry, but the peace they helped create.